Oh, recording. And you go somewhere and you don't take any money and you don't take anything with you, right? There's nothing familiar. You got nothing to hang on to, and let it be miraculous, right? You're not allowed to have a comfort zone. You're not allowed to build a castle. You're not allowed to do anything. You just have this mission, right? You're on a mission from God, like literally a mission from God. It's a mission of faith. And it's like, all right, I'm going to get from point A to point B and back again. Let's say I'm going to go and visit my friends in the next county or whatever. I'm going to get there and back again with no money, no idea how to get there. Whether you jump a train or a bus or whether you hitch a ride, it doesn't really matter, right? As long as you don't have the money, the keys, the phone, and all of these things that goes along with that sense of security, the castle, the comfort zone. It's like, oh, well, if I get stuck, I can just ring somebody. It's like, no, that's not the job description. The job description here is faith. If you get stuck, there's the opportunity for faith. Anyone can walk out their front door and go for a walk, but it's like at a certain point you get to the limit of your walk and you go, oh man, I'm never going to be able to walk home. I'm so exhausted if and if you go to the next county or the next town or the next whatever, I'm going to go and visit my auntie who lives 3,000 kilometers from here, and then I'm going to come back again with no money, no, no food, no nothing. I mean, that's the whole idea of a pilgrimage. So a lot of religious or a lot of spiritual people, especially. I was watching one the other day. It must be a regular thing, I guess, but one of the Shivites was rolling. So the temple of Shiva is, or the birthplace of Shiva is, I think it's near Goa in India. I'm not sure, but it's on the coast in the mountains somewhere. And the layout of India is foreign to me. It just looks like an upside down triangle, but they showed on the map this guy had to roll. Right, this is the second time I've seen this, which makes me think it's some kind of extreme tradition. This guy had to roll along the road. He's wearing only a loincloth, right? His devotion was to roll on his side over and over like this. He's like he's rolling all the way from the Ganges or whatever to the Temple of Shiva or something, the original birthplace, something like that. It's something like 2,000 kilometers. It's a long way, right? It takes weeks and weeks to get there rolling. It sounds ridiculous that I say it's rolling, but he's literally rolling. And he's on the hot road, right? So the middle of the day, he's on the hot road, and there's 4 or 5 guys behind him playing musical instruments. They walk all the way, like they're his supporters and whatever. And this guy's rolling, and it's slow, right? It's really slow. Every time he has another rotation, he's like, oh, God, I've got to roll again. And he's doing like 10 rolls a minute. And this is an idea of devotion, right? Now, I know it sounds kind of weird, right? It sounds kind of weird to our Western world because in our
found it weird.
I know, but in our Western minds, it's like, what the hell? What is this guy doing? You would have to live, right? You would literally have to live in his shoes and to know what he knows, to understand the value he's getting out of rolling, right? And doing that whole thing. So to people like us, let's say we'd be over there in India and we'd have our cameras out taking pictures of him. Right? It wouldn't dawn on us what the integrity in his own mind is of the value that he's given that, why he's doing it. But literally in your own minds, in my own mind, there's a place where what would you call it? The amalgamation of everything that he's going through to do that comes down to a single point, right? Which is achieving the goal. Okay. Now, in time, that takes him, I don't know how he got onto this subject, but in time, that takes him, let's say 2 or 3 weeks to roll all that way. I think it's longer than that, actually. I think it's a couple of months, but he rolls all that way, up hills, down valleys, like the whole thing. That is the same action of mind as the devotion that you're putting into the realization of self. Right? The fact that his act of devotion is so laborious, so painful, so And I mean, in India, there's like the sadhus do lots of crazy shit, right? They wrap themselves in barbed wire. And there's one guy I saw a film about him. He had his arm in the air for like 40 years and his shoulder joint had become calcified. It was impossible for him to put his arm down. That was an act of devotion. I don't get it, but that's his deal, you know? Like for me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure that, you know, you could serve in a better way, but what do I know? Right? It would only be my judgment to look at that and go, that's ridiculous, dude. You don't have to do that. Put your arm down. Jesus already atoned. You know, it's like that whole thing. But my act of forgiveness, my single act of forgiveness is the same as that. It's the same as that guy in the air with his arm in the air. You know, so when I'm looking at the idea of devotion or going across town, across the valleys to Shiva, when I'm not taking my wallet and my keys and whatever, all that's actually happening is me saying yes to something in my own mind. Right? It's in the saying yes to it that it's already accomplished. It doesn't matter whether that guy makes it all the way rolling or not. He said yes to it. Right? In his own mind, he said yes. That was both the fulfillment and the completion of it, because God comes through in that yes. Right? It's not about time and space, and it's not about the doing and whatever. Not necessarily. It's entirely possible for you to accept salvation now without doing anything. And in fact, Jesus says in the course, salvation is not beyond immediate learning. But the fact is that the idea of salvation, which is experiential, it's not just a concept, it's not words, it's not a thing that you get up on a Sunday and hallelujah, I'm doing salvation. It's a whole experience. It's an out of body, out of time, out of no body experience, right? That shows you the nature of your relationship with the universe, right? The whole reason that we have A Course in Miracles, 365 lessons, and all these ideas of devotion and practice and everything else that we go through, meditation, prayer, everything that we do, is because the same reason that guy has to roll 2,000 kilometers, right? To prove to himself that he's done it, that he's worthy, that he's fulfilled what it is, his atonement, right? To him, that is his atonement. That's his process. He has to do it. A equals B, right? In our thing, A equals B. We have to witness to the actual process occurring in us to actually believe in it, right? Now, the first time I saw that guy's story, and it's like, and there's no point in doing a transformation without being able to witness to it. You know, like I remember the story of the Buddhist nun, and she sat in the cave for 12 years meditating, 12 years, never spoke a word. And when finally she came out, there was news people there and cameras and everything. And on the day that she was predestined to come out, and they said, what wisdom did you gain in 12 years? She said it was very peaceful. That was it. She didn't have any revelation. She didn't have anything else. She just sat there alone for 12 years for whatever reason she thought. But it's like the whole point of the workbook is that in that 1 year, right, you don't need a workbook. You're whole and perfect as God created you. You don't need anything. There's nothing wrong with you at all. Your spirit, you're perfect as God created you. That's verbatim, right? But because I don't believe it, right? Because I have doubt, because I have fear, because I have this underlying thing, I have to have a way where I can prove to myself that what's being told to me is actually so. So in that one period of, and I'll get back to the rolling guy soon, but in that one period of the workbook, if I'm doing those lessons exactly, I'll begin to have the experiences that those lessons tell me I'm going to have, right? Which not only quantifies the lessons, but it quantifies everything that the text is saying, because the text is the justification for why you would want to do the lessons in the first place. You know, and then the whole thing gets really real. The whole thing becomes really real. And so when it becomes really real, and then you start to read that bit where Jesus says salvation is not beyond immediate learning, you're like, well, maybe that's really real as well, right? There was a point in my early years, just oh man, I could say it was right up until the dark night of my soul, but there was a point where I began to realize that I was supported by a higher power, right? I was making bold experiments with faith. I was walking out my front door, taking nothing, going hundreds of kilometers to visit friends and different things, spend weeks away and do all sorts of stuff, climb mountain, the Mount Warning story, and do all these other things and just little stuff around as well. And all this people call it synchronicity, but all this synchronicity would start to occur. I would be supported, even to the point where we were selling marijuana cookies at a forest protest, to raise money, whatever. And we ran out of them. And we're like, man, they were our best seller, raising the most money. How are we going to? And we didn't tell anyone we'd run out. And this guy just turns up with this huge bag of marijuana and goes, here, make some more cookies, and keep the thing going. And we're like, we just put that out to the universe, how to get more thing. It's simple, just simple everyday stuff happens. But it got to the point where I wanted to know, how come this stuff keeps happening? How come this synchronicity? And you don't get that in a comfort zone, because a comfort zone is designed to be managed by you, not to let anything in. And it's just this sort of like very, it's like if you have 10 friends, right? And you'll have, like, I've got 10 friends. Out of those 10 friends, I've got this one guy that's kind of dodgy, like he's still a friend, but he's like, yeah, whatever. So really, I've only got 9 really good friends, right? And you begin to narrow it down. And that's what the mind does. And then out of those 9 really good friends, you begin to judge those friends. And it's like all of a sudden now I've got 8 friends or 7 friends. And like really, at the end of the day, maybe I've got one good friend that I really want to spend quality time with or whatever. And you begin to isolate yourself, right? And you don't even realize you're doing it, because what's occurring is you're looking for perfection, right? You're looking for perfection because there's a spark of God in you. There's a spark of love in you that won't go out, can't be extinguished. But the ego mind, the mind that's looking out there into the world for things, is trying to orient itself to perfection out there. So I've got 10 perfect friends, and then on closer scrutiny, they dwindle away, and then eventually get to a place where everyone in the world's mad except for me. Why is everybody in the world so stupid except for me? Why can't everyone see this and I'm the only one that can see this? And then you're at this kind of place of total isolation, right? It's you against the rest of the world, and it's like that's when it gets really ugly. So using the mirror begins to open that out again. So you like, well, hang on a minute. What I see in others is the reflection of my unresolved guilt, my unresolved denial, my unresolved trauma, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be separation, right? My unresolved sense of separation reflected back to me symbolically through my friends, my work situations, whatever it is, relationships. So, but all of that isn't really necessary. It's necessary to the point where you realize for yourself it's no longer necessary, because there will come a point in your own transition where you're sick and tired of transformation, right? I'm fed up with purifying my mind, right? Who the hell wants to do that forever? It sucks. It's the worst thing ever. Look, everyone's laughing. They all know, right? What the hell is the point of staying in this process of continually confronting my own bullshit, which is just this ongoing, oh God, not again, not again, not again. But once you're in the process, once you start it, you can't finish it. You have to go. It's like a tunnel. Once you enter in, you got to get out the other end. You got to go until you see the light, and you get right into the dark, 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 and then you just got to keep going. There is no way out of it. But at any single moment, you can choose to be at the other end, because it doesn't take time. Time is the construct of man. It doesn't take space. Space is the idea in the mind that I'm separate from something, right? So at any single instant, you can choose to accept atonement, at-one-ment, pardon me, for yourself, and get yourself out of the tunnel of time and space in its entirety, right? So the shift to invisibility, let's say, the shift into non-physical dimension, like that, occurs in the now, in the moment, here and now, right? To bring your mind to the realization and the capacity to accept the here and now and to engage with the here and now. And here and now is a terrible way to describe it. The is, the God, the I am, whatever. It's a process. It's rolling 2,000 miles to some temple to feel that sense of worthiness, right? It's the same thing. That guy rolling is looking for perfection. He's looking for a certain kind of connection with a non-temporal entity or a non-temporal reference, which is what we're doing. Exactly the same thing. I want a connection to my source. I want a connection to God, to the universe, to the Holy Spirit, whatever. That to me is real. It's not just something that I'm trying to do anymore. I want it to be my living, my being, my full-time connected sense of self. Right? Otherwise, I'm still a student of life. I'm still just sort of like running around figuring it out. And it's like, man, figuring it out is absolutely bonkers. You know, I always like that little meme that there's the woman and she's sitting there on the rock meditating. Have you seen that one? And it says what people think a spiritual awakening looks like, and she's sitting there, she's all dressed in white and she's meditating and doing the mudras and everything. And then below it says what spiritual awakening really looks like, and she's got mascara running down and she's like crying and her hair's all a mess. And it's like, that was my state of mind for like 10 years straight. Like Arlene's the same. She knows. Like, it's just, I'm pulling my hair out. It's like, especially when you start this, it's like, holy shit, I'm such an asshole. Right? You start to really put your finger on your nose and refuse to take it off. It's humbling in a sense, right? You kind of realize what a judgmental piece of shit you are. And it's like, God damn it. Jesus tells me one thing: don't judge. Just love everybody. Love everybody. Don't judge anyone. You know, that's the one thing. You think I can do that? No, not at all. 35 incarnations of judgment have like entrenched it into me to like judge everything, because that's the only way you're going to be safe. Judge all those friends and just get rid of the ones that don't line up, you know, and they're not perfect and whatever. So the idea then of your own devotion, of your own discipline, of your own commitment, it's in a single moment. You are that moment. Right? It's not like there's a body form association that's attempting to awaken from a dream that doesn't exist, because there is no world, right? Jesus tells you there is no world. Can what has no beginning truly have an end, right? Now that leaves you in the paradox. If there is no world and I'm not really here listening to this video and whatever, it's like, then what the hell's the point of anything, right? Good. Stay there. Right? Ramana Maharshi taught it as that exact same thing. Self-inquiry. Ask who is the self and stay there in that place where you're asking the question. Don't wander off just because you get hungry or whatever. Like, stay there and let it get as uncomfortable as it can get. Right? Let it be that thing that draws you into that place of total insanity in your own mind, but do it as the observer, not as the participant. It's like, oh, I see what's happening in my mind. I see I'm going crazy here. Or either that, I see that I'm coming out of being crazy. Right? But realizing that you've just been nothing but crazy all these years is kind of like, oh man, look at me. I don't want to show my face in public. The next time I go out in public, somebody gives me a sheepskin and I have to, you know, what is it? A springbok. Where's our African friend? Oh, he's not here today. Oh, never mind. He would probably like this. I mean, like, it's like, it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird, you know, the weird things happen and you just look at it and you're like, you never know what anything's for. And that's like one of the things I love, getting to that point. I just don't know what that's for. I go into a shop that I've been past every day, or I go past all the time. Something weird happens and I walk out of there with a Springbok skin as a gift. Like, you know, and you have to sit back for a second and go, all right, I don't know what anything's for. I don't know what this is for. Anna, what the hell do I do with the Springbok skin? Just say thank you, I guess. But, you know, the dream is full of conundrums. The dream is like, it's really one day this, the next day that, you know, and it seems to be different stuff, but it's the same stuff. It's the same thing. The appearance of differences in the dream is what gives the dream its appearances, or its seemingly reality. You know, you walk outside and you see this person and that person, you think they're different people. They're just you. There is no different people. There's no one else out there separate from me. There's nobody that's different from me. You see distinct personalities, you see distinct identities, you see distinct kind of differences in things, but it's the same thing. And that's what makes it tricky, because you can just walk from one side of the street to the other, talk from one person to another person, and your ability to maintain the awareness that you're actually not talking to anyone other than yourself in any given situation, it's like, whoop, the rug gets pulled out from under your feet. Every time something changes, every time something changes. You know, and then you're back rolling all the way, 2000. It's like, I've got to do some more rolling here. I'm not really in the zone yet. I'll roll, you know. But it's funny what we'll go through until we get that sense of worthiness, right? And remember, denial is deliberate. Until you get that sense of worthiness, that you're worthy to be the savior of the world. You're worthy to be the Christ. You're worthy to be sitting on the right-hand side of God. You know, it's a true thing. It's like there's all this stuff, there's all this self-denial that goes along, and it takes many different forms, but it's always the same thing going on. I better do my workbook lessons again. Maybe I didn't roll far enough. You know, maybe when Dave said, don't take my wallet and my phone and go visit someone in another county, maybe I didn't go far enough on the train or something, or maybe I didn't do it wholeheartedly, you know. And it's like the idea that I would deny, or that I find myself in denial because I'm not in possession of the memory of God. I'm not in the possession of that experience, or having had that experience. I mean, I have, but just in general, when you pick up the book, it's like it really is like Alice in Wonderland. You go down that rabbit hole and it just twists and turns, and the next thing, and none of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. And the process of being human is trying to make sense of it. Right? I find myself in a place that's not my home, in a reality that has nothing to do with my origin, my creative source, nothing like that. Jesus is even telling me to my face when I read the New Testament, this world is not your home. Where I'm going, you're going to come too. Right? It's why you don't feel right here. It's why everything feels somehow off. But rather than just pack up and leave, it's like, well, let me just test the waters. And that's what those lessons are. That's what all of it is. It's like I'm testing the waters. If I do my lessons, if I have a few experiences and actually get the proof that this is what's happening to me, you know, then you have two things goes on. You have the proof that it's actually true what's happening to you, and then you have the actual terror of the proof of what's happening to you being true. It's like, holy shit, this is a true teaching. Isn't that right, Anna? I remember when I realized what the course was saying, you know, I'd had the experience, I had the illumination, and then Greta gave me the book, and I'm like, this can't be right. This can't be true. I didn't want to accept it. but I had no choice. I'd already had the experience, right? When you do those workbook lessons, when you start to see your relationships transforming, it's like, holy shit, I applied forgiveness and something changed. That means that this lesson in A Course in Miracles about forgiveness is a true lesson. Therefore, the whole of the text, which tells me that I'm dreaming, tells me that I'm in eternity now asleep, dreaming this whole thing, and backs up that lesson, must also be real. Right? And you watch how the mind scrambles to push all that away. Don't look at that shit. That's dangerous. Don't even take that on board. You don't want to know about that. Let's go see what's on at the movies. Let's see where my 10 friends are that I haven't spoken to for ages. I need to get those guys back in here. Quick smart, you know. It's like denial is a funny thing. Denial is, but you have to know about it. You've got to see your own tendency to want to escape the paradox. You've got to see your own tendency to want to, and you've got to hold yourself accountable to it. Right? It comes down to the very simple and very easy point. Do I want to remember my father or not? Right? Unless you die of the flesh, you will not be born of the spirit. I don't know if that's exactly the wording, but you get the idea, right? So am I willing to die of the flesh to be reborn of the spirit? Obviously not the physical flesh, but my ideas about myself as being the flesh. If I'm not a body and you're not a body, then what the hell are we doing? Let's party on and just like live in the light and love of our Savior and come to this acceptance together. Jesus already got this. The fix is in. I can't fuck it up. All I got to do is follow. All I got to do is just take the next step. And then that becomes my joy rather than the mundanity of having to continue to roll 2,000 kilometers. I mean, that guy could just get up and start dancing with the guys that are walking behind him and like, I get it. I get it. There's no need for me to do this. Right? I am loved. It's only me that would deny that, and only me, therefore, that would seek penance or seek some sort of retribution of my own ideas about myself in denial of it by going on this pilgrimage of rolling or doing these 365 lessons. Right? God is not holding my dream against me. It's me holding my dream against me. Nobody's judging me except myself. Right? Try to let that in. There is no one judging me here except myself. There's no one keeping me from salvation except myself. And my salvation comes from myself. I either want it or I don't want it. Now, do I want it totally? Do I want it totally, or do I just want to talk about wanting it? Do I just want to study about wanting it? Do I just want to participate in Zoom meetings with people who are thinking that they want it also, maybe? Or, I mean, I don't know. But when you want it, you want it. When you don't want it, it looks like this. Right? That's the paradox. Or not really the paradox. That's the fact of the matter. And that's where you got to stay. The most powerful place you can stay in your own consciousness is on the precipice of your awakening. Right? It's like literally right there. Ready? Here I am, Lord. Here I am, Lord. Because the actual place that you are, whether you recognize it or not, all the time, is in eternity, one with all things. You're already in the place that you're looking for. You're already awake. You're already enlightened, not even enlightened. You're already everything. Right? And the dream, whether it be a dream of salvation or a dream of denial, it's still just a dream. The dream of salvation could be said to be like the anti-dream, like Deadpool is the anti-hero in the Marvel universe. It's like Deadpool and Jesus is like the Deadpool of our times. He doesn't kill anybody, I don't think, like Deadpool, but he flips everything over. It's like I'm looking at that idea of Jesus, and it's like, well, Jesus is forgiving things, like even on the cross, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do. Forgiving everything. It's an act of radical forgiveness. He's letting go of the entire world by forgiving it for everything that it represents to him. It's one action. Now, let me do the same. I remember in the dark night of my soul, I didn't want there to be anyone to forgive. It didn't make sense that there would have to be anyone to forgive if God is love. There was this kind of imbalance with it in my brain. And I'm like, how is that even possible that there is something to forgive? Why would I even want to hold a grievance? Love thy enemies and all of that. That made sense to me. I didn't know how to put it into place, because if I had an enemy, they're probably going to want to kill me. And how am I going to feel about wanting to love that? It seems kind of preposterous. But when you realize that it's an idea or a perception in your own mind that you have against yourself, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. All I got to do is heal it in here in my own mind, and everything out there changes. I don't have to be concerned how it changes. Maybe they do still kill me. But it changes. Firstly, by me recognizing that change within myself, that I don't care whether they kill me or not. It's like I'm in the ever-loving heart of God and laying in the ever-loving arms, regardless of what happens here in the dream, healthy or sick, good or bad. One is the same, no different to the other. Rich or poor, better or worse. Until life do us part, we'll come together. Salvation is immediate. It's here and it's now. It's here and it's now. It's not in the future. And I talk about sometimes about the veil, about how dense it is, and when Jesus says, and I just did a video just then, it's like when Jesus says only 2 in 10,000 will hear this, it's like, well, I want to make sure I'm damn sure one of those 2 in 10,000, but first I got to realize that I'm not hearing it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it, Lord. I really want to hear it. I want this to get in past the place where I'm conceptualizing it, past the place where I'm seeing where it fits into what I believe about myself now, past the place where I think I have any choice whether to regard or disregard the teaching, and simply let it in. Because the light does the work, not my understanding. My understanding is not required. What the hell I'm going to tell you about my understanding of celestial matters, divine orchestration? What the hell do I know about it? I'm a non-existent entity appearing as something that's trying to prove itself real. Luckily, though you were dead, I have come to give you eternal life. Luckily, the miscreations of the Son in the dream are being offered the opportunity to transcend the nature of temporal association and experience eternal lives for themselves. It's like Geppetto's puppet. What's his the I'm a real boy. The Pinocchio. It's like literally we're dead things. Literally we are dead things with no idea of, like, we're no better than AI. We convince ourselves that we're real by our associations with what we think our reality is. I must be real because I can think, therefore I am. But real compared to what? Real compared to what? You don't have another reference point. You just assume that you're real. You assume that you exist. I assume that I exist. I know that I don't exist, not existing. But I have a life. I have this life in Christ where I am in he and he in me. It's like in the Course where Jesus says the opposite of life is not death, but another form of life. I remember Ted talking about the higher realms, that you imagine some schism that's so incredible happened, right? And nobody knows how it happened. It's like the Marvel universe, and they go to the place where the Time Lords, they didn't even know the Time Lords existed or the Timekeepers existed. And it's like all of a sudden they realize that the universe as they knew it is just a tiny figment of something much more vast. Like God is huge. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. God is big, really big, or the universe is big, really big. The idea that I don't exist, that I'm an illusion, it's like Neo in the Matrix. The image and the digital projection of the idea of a Neo isn't real, but there is a Neo in the red jelly that is real, that's dreaming about the Neo in the dream, right? So like the 13th floor, the guy's in the pod, or like Avatar, the guy's in the pod, and he's in this blue synthetic kind of suit of this 8-foot thing, right? Blue person. It's not really real, but it seems very real while you're at it. But he has no, eventually, if he was in that long enough, he would forget completely that there was another version of himself in a pod. That would become so overwhelmingly real to him that would become his reality and consume him in the mind, and he would either go completely insane or he would accept the upgrade. But it's the same for us. Prove to me that you're real. You can't. You can give me the old story, well, if I kick my toe on the coffee table, it's going to hurt, and that proves that I'm real. No, it doesn't. It proves that there's electrical signals in your brain that are telling you stuff, right? But you can't prove to me that the body is what you are. If you lose your arms and legs, are you still you? If you lose your functions, are you still you? If you go deaf, are you still you? Who is the you that it is that's, And it's like, all right, if this is not the real me, if I'm just in a dream, it's like if I'm, let's say, in eternity and I'm in this kind of coma, how do I wake up from the coma? Because I seem to be presenting to myself as an image in my own world that seems to be everything revolves around me. Jesus is telling me that I'm in this coma or in this dream where actually I'm in eternity, dreaming of myself as being in a world with 8 billion other people that are similar to me and like representing the schism that happened. Everyone out of time is looking at the schism that happened going, how the hell did this even happen? This is incredible. They don't see things in terms of good or bad or better or worse or anything. It's just like, we've got to sort this out. These guys also are reality, part of reality, but they don't know it. They don't know about us. There's a greater universe, a greater reality that we're part of, that we are of, that also now, because of Jesus' atonement, includes this. Like, it's mind-blowing. It's like you can't just switch off. Imagine in the Matrix if they just switched it all off. Everybody in those red pods would wake up having no clue how they got there, no clue that they'd been harvested as babies, as cloned embryos and grown and given a false reality. They'd wake up in those pods and they'd be terrified. They would be so terrified they'd probably all want to jump out and kill themselves. All those things coming out of their arms and legs. Reality is much like that. The truth about you as Christ is so different from this. So different. There's no form. There's no bodies. There's no houses. There's no trees. There's no planets or stars. There's nothing. There's just truth. There's just reality. Just this incredible, man, it's home. When you experience it, when you remember it, you'll know that it's your home. You'll know it's you. It's another whole form of life. It's another whole thing. It's like if you found yourself suddenly to be a jellyfish in the ocean, you'd be like, what is this? And you'd be blobbing around in the ocean. You wouldn't know how the difference happened. Or if you woke up tomorrow in bed and you were on the moon and you didn't know how you got there, you didn't know what the hell, and you could see the earth like miles away, and it's like your mind would just go into backflips. You wouldn't be able to accept the change in reality, right? You're being prepared, like through doing those lessons and rolling 2,000 miles, you're being prepared in a certain sense to accept the inevitable, to accept what it is that you're in the process of as beings that are awakening to the truth. There is no world. This is just a dream. It's an illusion. It is the Matrix. I haven't experienced it personally as any kind or any form of digital, computerized anything. For me, my experience through it so far has been completely organic, as far as that. I don't even know how to describe it. Natural, not contrived or man-made. But the capacity for your awakening to occur right here and right now as the experience of remembering your truth is within you already. At a certain point within you, it has already occurred but at some point in the alpha and the omega of your own personal timeline, there's a little blip in the screen and it says awakening. That's already there. God put it there. It's that little spark, and you will discover it. The only thing that's at your control is how long do you want to take for that to occur? This incarnation, the next one, the one after that? It's like salvation is not beyond immediate learning. Immediate learning. Going out on that little journey. How many people did it? How many of you guys went out and I know Tina did. Carrie did it. A little bit. You did it a little bit. Good on you. I can tell that. You got some courage there. So the idea of that is saying yes to it, is saying yes to the immediacy of your salvation. Right? If Jesus knocks on your door and says, give up the world and follow me, do you say yes? Or do you say, let me just go and sell my goods in the marketplace, Lord, and then I will gladly follow you? Let me just pick up my kids from school. Let me just tell my boss I won't be into work tomorrow. Like literally, you got to really look at it. Where is my yes in this? If salvation is immediate, it's like even the guy on the cross. There's Jesus and there's two bandits, one either side of him on the cross. Everybody else doesn't believe in him. Even his own disciples have disowned him. It's like Peter, before the cock crows 4 times or whatever, you'll deny me 3 times. Thank you, Arlene. You'll deny me. No, Lord, not me. 1. It's funny. The ridiculous excuses that we give ourselves to not say a total yes, to not give a total yes. It's not until you've really realized you've got nothing to lose, like somebody diagnoses you with a terminal illness for which there's no cure. Well, what have I got left to lose? I've got nothing to lose now. I may as well just say yes to Jesus and go sit in the desert or whatever, whatever presents. It's like the bandit on the cross. I believe in you, Lord. He's got nothing left to lose. He's on the freaking cross. He's got nothing, literally nothing. It doesn't matter whether he wanted something else or not. He's got no way to attain it. He's got no hope, no nothing left. And hope is the last thing you need, right? He's done. All he's got is his yes. And Jesus says, you'll be with me this day in paradise, He didn't even have to follow. He didn't even have to give up the world and follow me. He was there by default. What it takes to hear, what it takes to understand the nature of salvation. It's like it's actually being offered. You're living in the resurrection. I'm actually being offered salvation. A 2,000-year-old teaching, a resurfacing of it 50 years ago, suddenly into the matrix through A Course in Miracles. A personal witness sitting here today telling you, I've seen the other side of the matrix. I've been out and come back to tell you the same thing Jesus told you. This is not your home. Now, what do you want to do with that? That's got to permeate. It's got to get in. You've got to allow it in past the place where you're looking at it. You know, if Jesus knocked on your front door today and said, give up the world and follow me, could you do it? That's my daily mantra. Like literally it is my daily mantra. When I feel like anything in the world's got its hooks into me, or where I feel like anything, I might have an emotional attachment. It's like, hang on a minute. I sit here in my mind. I'm like, give up the world and follow me with this thing that's showing up. It seems to be a good opportunity, a good offer, a good way of living my life, whatever. But can I let it all go when Jesus knocks on my door? Yes. Because the world I see holds nothing that I want. I have one purpose here, and that's to do my best to represent what it is that I know to be the truth, which is that God is a fact. You got to die to the old self to be reborn of the Spirit. You can't put new wine into old skins. And the joyous part of the whole point of this thing, the really joyous part of it is, at some point you did it. Right? At some point between that alpha and the omega, at some point in 130 billion years or however long, 500 billion years, a trillion billion years, you said yes. But it looks like here and now. Here I am, Lord. Yes. I'm saying yes. Where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. You know? Are you willing to accept salvation for yourself? That's the only question that's ever being held out to you. Here it is. Do you want it? Here it is. Do you want it? Here it is. Do you want it? And that want, you know, like it's all or nothing. You're either in or you're out. Don't be hot and, you know, either be hot or cold. Don't be lukewarm about it. You either want it or you don't want it. So it's like, I can't accept an entirety of something partially. I accept it on the terms that it's offered. The terms that it's offered is unconditionally. If you've still got a but, or you've still got a, let me think about that, or you've still got a, well, I don't quite get what's going on here. Like you can't. It's like diving off a diving board. You know, you'll stand on the edge for ages looking down. It's a long way down. How far is it? And you'll ask all the questions, and it'll be like, what if I hit the water wrong? You know, and is it cold? You know, is the water cold? And eventually you just go, fuck it. I'm in. And you jump. And you let it be whatever it is. You know, salvation is exactly the same thing. Once you step off that precipice, once you take that leap of faith, once you put your whole self on the line and trust Jesus, you don't have a choice. You can't get back up on the diving board. It's a one-way journey. And that's exactly how it was for me. At the time I realized that there was something else going on of a higher order, it was too late to go back and pretend that I hadn't seen that happening in my life. Even if I wanted to. I mean, I was in for a penny, in for a pound. I wanted it. I wanted to know. I was a curious little fucker. It's like, what the hell's going on in my life? This synchronicity, this stuff, this like a springbok skin. What the hell? This stuff just shows up. It doesn't make sense, you know? But to let that in, if I was to tell you now, like, just get up and walk out and don't come back to your house ever. Trust in God. Trust in God. Live your life completely in faith from this point on. Take no money. Like that guy. What's that DiCaprio movie where he goes into the bush in Canada and eventually he eats the poison berries by accident, and you know that movie, Into the Wild? He's like, fuck it, I can't do this. He said, I can't do this money, capitalism bullshit. He goes, I need to get back to my roots. I need to find out who I am, whatever. And he's doing really well. He burns all his money on the side of the road and he takes whatever it is he can carry in a backpack or something and goes off into the bush, into the mountains. And he's doing really well until he eats these poison berries by accident. He thinks they're edible berries, and then he realizes, what can you do? But it's the same thing, It's the same thing. At some point, you got to say, fuck it. I got nothing to lose, and you got to realize that. I got nothing to lose. All my crap in my house, all my bullshit at work that I endure every day. I go to the same job, and there, look, Arlene's just going to invite the homeless people in and take what you want. You got to realize that life is a one-way journey. It's either going down to the grave or up. But you can't go both ways at once. You got to make a choice. You got to make a decision. It's like, I choose salvation. I don't know how that's meant to look, but I'm just going to say yes to the next thing that comes along. I'm going to keep my mind open to the fact that everything is God, including the homeless person that comes mumbling and tells me to buy me something in the supermarket. Buy me this. Yes, Lord. Now, try to live like that. Try to live like that. If God is the power of the forget about God like man in the clouds. God is the energetic power of life, of the universe. It's like the Force in Star Wars. And you guys and me, we're learning to use the Force. You learn to use the Force by saying yes to it, by allowing it to shape you and guide you and give you the kind of interactions and experiences that you need to buoy you up in faith. You can't do that in the comfort zone. You can't do that if you're afraid to say yes. You got to get the hell out of your own way and just put one foot out the door and don't look back. Ted used to say you got to walk and chew gum. So Colin's on board with that. He's totally on board. How old are you, Colin?
I'm 17.
17. That's right. 17. Good. By 25, you'll be awake. Absolutely. I can
That's a
see
long
it.
time.
No, not really. It's right now. You just have to say yes. That's the whole point. Ready? Yes. Don't think of it in time. Just got to say yes and allow that to happen.
Yes.
There you go. That's it. That's it. There you go. Good. Good. Now stay there. Don't adjust to that. Don't adjust to it. It's happening now. Ready? The power of yes. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Beautiful. Did you hear him just speak to you? He
Go
said
ahead.
he'll be Jesus. He said he'll be there when you're 25.
Oh.
Good. Thank you, Father. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. You're a child of God. You are the Christ. You're whole and perfect as God created you. And you have nothing to say about it. Yes. Any questions? A word from our sponsor. Like, the only thing I could really encourage you is to make a bold experiment with your faith. Put yourself out. Put yourself out. Don't put yourself in danger, but put yourself out. At this stage, it's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna harm you. It's not gonna, you're walking with a true purpose. You just got to remember that and, be defenseless about it. Be completely defenseless. Don't build a castle. Otherwise, someone's going to attack you. The innocent need no defense. You are a child of God, child of the universe, and you are innocent. You need no defense. You make what you defend against. You got to hear that. You got to feel it. You got to let that really in. You got to let it permeate right in beyond the mist, beyond the mind fog. Just listen. Let it in. Listen. Have ears to hear. You are innocent. You've done nothing wrong. No one is judged for a dream. You're free. You know how you know freedom? You know how you know what freedom is in your life? You have to live it. You have to live it to see it. Otherwise, it's just an idea. See if you can find a movie. It's called A Box Full of Moonlight. It's an old, 80s movie. Box Full of Moonlight. If Tina can find the link, she'll put it up. It's an incredible, incredible movie. Two guys, a city guy and a country guy. You got it? Box Full of Moonlight movie. You got it? See if you can find the link and put it up for that. Most incredible movie, incredible. I forget the actors, but one of the actors is fairly prominent today, and the other guys sort of drifted off the grid. But the young guy thinks he's giving this incredible offering to the other guy. Right? He sees the city guy as being all fucked up, and that his country life is much better than city life. And he tries to show this uptight city guy how to relax and how to live life, how to be free. And in the end, it backflips on him. It's just beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful backflip, and you'll see yourself in there somewhere. You know how people talk about, oh, there's such a flip in that movie. Like, there were so many plot twists and whatever. This one's got the plot twist of all plot twists right at the end. It's so beautiful, and like in a beautiful way, in a way that will fill your heart with joy. Like, it is just so nice. Box full of moonlight. Oh, there we go. Got the link up. Yep. Thank you, Tina.
It's just the trailer. You have to go to your.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you got to find
it. Free. Yeah, that's.
It's not for free.
Find it right.
It's not,
I'll look. I'll
not,
check right now. But I just wanted to see
It's so old. I would have thought it'd be definitely for free somewhere, like YouTube, whatever.
We're all in the same country except for Colin and you and Roger.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Just a short one today. Break out. Get out of the comfort zone. Like, if you can't identify the fact that you have a comfort zone, you're in a comfort zone. Right? The tendency of the human concept, the human construct, is to build comfort zones. Its own comfort and its own protection is what guides the ego. Right? If you doubt that you have a comfort zone, you have a comfort zone. You're in denial. You're in denial of your denial. Right? Everything is a comfort zone. If it's familiar, it's a comfort zone. Do something, get out of the familiarity, put yourself into the unknown, the unfamiliar, and let something else happen. Let something incredible happen. Let something miraculous happen. There's no point sitting here in Zoom meetings and reading books and going to seminars and workshops, and you're it. You're it. You got to see that you're it by being it. See the spirit by being the spirit. Live from it. Walk from it. Talk from it. Eat from it. Everything. Give it away. It's like, it's just love. Give it away. Yeah, give it away now. Thank you.
No light session.
No, because I want these guys to get up with the workbook lessons and get more integrated with it.
We should do that then.
No, you know what you should do is you should do the first 50 lessons.
That's what I'm saying. We should do that then.
Well, you could do it now.
Let's do it now. Oh, let's do it now. Let's do it now.
Do it now. Ready? Let me see if I've got a little one here for me. Hang on.
Right on.
Does Colin have one? This will blow Colin's mind.
Colin's got one. Are you kidding me?
All right. Hang on. Colin's one.
I remember you, Boo. I remember you at the first one, Boo. I remember you.
I'm just going to stay with you guys for the first 12, and then got to be other place. My dad's going into his retirement village on Wednesday. So we're going to organize all his stuff, get what he needs for that today.
Sweet.
Now let me see. Oh, upside down. All right, so let me just do a preamble before we do it.
We've done them before, Dave.
Huh?
We've been doing them.
You want to do the preamble then?
No, you. I'm just saying, please do it. Please do it.
Oh, sure. I'm just looking for Looking for my, all right, lesson 51. You guys all got a book or a little thing?
Everyone
Okay,
has
so the reviews of the first 50 lessons is the entire thought system of A Course in Miracles in a nutshell. All right. The first full 50 lessons where you actually apply the lesson, it's kind of like this intense participation with the workbook right at the beginning, and it puts the whole curriculum into your head in 50 lessons, right? Just the basics. And then you review the basics, right? You're reviewing those first 50 lessons, which is the condensed theology or ideology or whatever about those first 50 lessons, right? Incredibly helpful. When I was at the Healing Center all those years ago, every morning, a group of us would get together and read the full 50 reviews every single morning, right? And the old man who was my teacher's teacher, he used to tell people, do it every morning and do it every afternoon, like before you go to bed, every evening before you go to bed, read the full 50 reviews. And you would get to see how devoted or how much discipline you had basically in everything, but definitely through doing that. And there would be guys that just wouldn't turn up for it. They would turn up when Ted was there and they'd just sit and listen because that was easy. They didn't have to put themselves out. They didn't have to get up early. They didn't have to put in any effort, you know. But unless you put in effort, you don't get this, right? It's like when you study anything. If you study to be a doctor, you got to put in effort. If you're just going to sit in the back and cruise along and think you're going to get this when the time it comes to exams, right? You get the results of your own thinking. So these first 50 reviews, I've sat with thousands of people over the years doing these at the start of workshops and things that we do and light sessions and stuff. Most people, me included initially, most people tend to read these the same way they read anything else in the world, reading a magazine or reading a fictional novel. Right? You tend to go through it, and you get to the end, you don't even really know what the hell you've read. Right? It's like you're reading some sort of magazine or something while you're waiting for a train. It's just filling in time, filling in the blanks. But at some point, and at every point in salvation, the rubber's got to hit the road, right? You've got to be conscious and you've got to be connected with what you're doing. You can't be sort of like astral in your head going, oh, yeah, man, peace and love here and now and whatever. At some point, you've got to ground it and you've got to bring it right down to a personal sort of thing and really let it in. And these lessons are incredible for doing that. All right, I'll do the first one. Nothing I see means anything. This is lesson 51. Number 1, nothing I see means anything. All right, just the heading's like, nothing I see means anything. You know, it was 8 months of reading that day after day after day before it actually hit me that nothing I see means anything. I read these reviews for 8 months before it finally got in past my dense, thick defenses. And it was only one day I was standing with Greta in the lunchroom looking out over the courtyard, and 2 of the brothers were outside having some sort of fisticuffs over the lunch table outside. It was ridiculous. Like, in my mind, I'm like, this is a spiritual center and there's people having a physical fight out in the courtyard. You know, basically a spiritual center is where a whole bunch of egos come together to try and be better. So you got to expect that everyone's trying to work out their head. There's this sense of tension all the time, right? But anyway, and I'm standing next to Greta, and I looked at the thing going on out there in the courtyard, and I'm waiting in the queue to get my plate of food. And I said to her, what the hell's going on out there? She said, it doesn't mean anything, like that. Lesson 1, nothing I see means anything. And all of a sudden it went pow. And the practical nature of my own inquiry and the whole thing, it all lined up, right? And it actually made sense to me. Up until then, I'd just been reading it every day for 8 months, every morning. And it was just something I was reading. telling myself that I thought I knew what it said, but it wasn't until I experienced what it said that it actually got in. Right? So nothing I see means anything. The reason this is so is that I see nothing, and nothing has no meaning. It is necessary that I recognize this, that I may learn to see. What I think I see now is taking the place of vision. I must let it go by realizing that it has no meaning, so that vision may take its place. Okay. And the second lesson, I've given what I see all the meaning it has for me. It's like, it's me that's given it that meaning deliberately, right? If I'm honest and I look around the world, it's like, I don't know why I'm here in the world at all. I don't know what the world's for. I don't know why people do what they do, why things go the way they go. I don't know anything if I'm actually honest. I'm just a pleb, a newbie. Ever since I've been born, people have been telling me this is this, this is that. But when I actually stop and step back from it all, how do I know? Other than what I've been told and other than what I've read in books, and what do I really know about anything? Right? I've given it all the meaning it has for me. Now, if I take all that meaning away, what am I left with? A blank landscape. Right? A completely blank landscape, devoid of judgment and meaning. Now what? Right? Nothing. Now what? Nothing. Don't do anything with it. Just leave it blank. Let the meaning be written upon it for you by the Spirit. Right? Be guided with what it is that you think it's about from that point on. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this Zoom meeting thing is. I'm just here talking stuff. And there's other people talking stuff and listening to stuff. Right? I've judged everything I look upon, and it is this and only this that I see. This is not vision. Right? This course makes a very definite perspective, a very definite point that there's a thing between vision and perception. Perception is the way I think about things and the way I see things based on how I think about it. Vision is another whole other thing. The vision of Christ is me seeing the truth. Okay. This is not vision. It is merely an illusion of reality because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality. I'm willing to recognize the lack of validity in my judgments because I want to see. My judgments have hurt me and I do not want to see according to them. Right? Every day my judgments hurt me. Every single day. I wake up every morning. The first thing, morning, my body aches, my this, my that, whatever. I'm judging everything. It's like you walk straight into it. You cannot not, because the ego always speaks first, which is why it's important to remember, hang on, before I start my day, I'm going to give it to God. I'm going to give it to the Holy Spirit. I'm going to turn over my day. Guide me today, Lord. I don't want to see myself or my brothers as bodies, all these stories we tell ourselves about our aches and our pains and our this and our that and whatever. And you know you're going to be confronted by it all day. At work, at play, whatever you're doing, it's you can't get out of it. All you can do is take your rest throughout the day when you do your lessons. It's like, let me just sit back here and have this little moment of solace and integrate this, use these experiences that have happened to me today to bring about a shift in my consciousness that will endorse to me the ideas and show me that the ideas in this book are true, that show me that nothing I see means anything. Right? And eventually that begins to become the status quo. And you begin to become in the world, but not of it. Things goes on here and over there, and you'd be like, wow, once I would have really reacted to that. I would have got triggered by it. It doesn't bother me anymore. People call me all sorts of names or call me crazy or, whatever. It's like, man, that would have really ticked me off at one point. But now I can't even find the trigger. I'm looking really hard for it. I can't find it. I'm using my best honesty about it. And, I don't know what happened there. Something happened between the guy that was once affected by the world and the guy that's now in the world but not of it. There's this whole transition that happens. Tina, read the next one. Oh, is your thing's not working, is it? Your microphone. Is it? Or...
Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you. This is a good lesson for you.
I know.
But I could put my finger on my nose. You see?
Oh, man. Oh.
Anna's laughing. Anna's laughing her ass off. Look at her.
Oh
She's
man, I
looking.
do.
She's thinking, I'm glad Tina got that lesson and not me.
Oh.
We're funny little children.
Oh. Oh.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Ground it. Ready? This is your salvation.
Oh God. Oh. I do not understand anything I see. I do not understand anything I see. How could I understand what I see when I have judged it amiss? What I see is the projection of my own errors of thought. I do not understand what I see because it is not understandable. There is no sense in trying to understand it. But there is every reason to let it go. And make room for what can be seen and understood and loved. I can exchange what I see now for this merely by being willing to do so. Is not this a better choice than the one I made before?
Right. And are you willing? Say no. No, fuck you, God. I'm not willing. Fuck off.
I am willing.
Oh, yeah. Of course you are. Look at that face. That's the face of willingness right there. You got to realize how unwilling you are. When you read these lessons, it's like, is it the willing thing that reads these lessons or is it the unwilling thing that reads these lessons? No, it's the grievance. Otherwise, what do I need forgiveness for? It's the unwilling, grievous, judgmental. And that's where the humility comes in. It's like, it's no different if you were a Buddhist. You just like all of a sudden you just get pushed down. There's no specialness. There's no nothing. You're just humbled. You are humbled, completely humbled. You know, it's like I love in the Bible, I think it's in Isaiah, and he says, only the penitent man will see God. You know, you have to fall on your face. You have to be totally become like nothing, not because you're guilty of anything or anything like that, but because you've got to realize I'm doing this to myself. This is I wouldn't have these lessons. You know, if there was no need for them, I wouldn't even have them. I'm not willing. Otherwise, why do I get these lessons? If I was willing, there wouldn't be a problem. It's because I'm a stubborn, doubting Thomas that I need these lessons, and Jesus has to like put his hands up and go, God's sake, Thomas, just stick your fingers in there with you. Just prove it to yourself, like let's just get this done, And he says that with all the love in the universe. He's not judging Thomas for being a doubting Thomas. He's like, here, let's, time's ticking. Let's just do this. I know you have doubts. I know you have fears. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Arlene, she's onto it. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. They wrote that bit for you, Tina. Colin, do the next one. These thoughts do not mean anything. Number 4. Take a breath before you do it. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. You're participating in your salvation right here and now. Good. Oh, man, I can feel that in your chest. That's so good. That is good. That is heartfelt. Yes. Let's do it.
These thoughts don't mean anything. The thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything because I'm trying to think without God. What I call my thoughts are not my real thoughts.
Good. Yes. Take a breath.
My real thoughts are the thoughts I think with God. I am not aware of them because I have made my thoughts to take their place. I am willing to recognize that my thoughts do not mean anything and to let them go.
Good.
I choose to have them be replaced by what they were intended to replace. My thoughts are meaningless, but all creation lies in the thoughts I think with God.
Good. You know how many other 17-year-old guys are doing this? You're it. You may not really realize it yet, but you're incredibly powerful. Something in you is pushed through the programming. It's like I remember hearing about indigo children and things like that some years ago in the 80s. Indigo children was a big thing where children were born with a certain level of self-awareness and a sense of self that transcended the parents and all of that sort of thing, which is a true thing. I mean, the whole continuum's in ascendance, but it's very rare that I meet somebody who's 17 or younger. There was a girl once who was 15 or 16, that girl, and she was like bam, she was like totally onto it. But it's like it's a total joy, you know. All us old fogies, we're at your feet. We're you know, like literally you're our savior. It's like what you're bringing to the table as a 17-year-old. It's like, man, you are going to collapse so much time across the board in the experience of your giving in this realm. It's such a gift, and I'm totally grateful to God for you. Totally. And I know you're still going to go through all your shit. I know you're going to go through it, and as you change, as you get older, you'll go into your different stages of life, and different girls will come and different other things will come, and business and all of that. But you're already in the orchard. You're already in the vineyard. You know, it's like, damn. You're like Neo. You're the one. Arlene loves it. She knows. Tina knows. I wish I'd discovered this when I was 17, you know, like man, my whole life would have been beautiful. Well, I mean, it was beautiful in its own way, but you know, my dream, if I did have a dream, my dream would be of one day when this book wasn't even required. It was just the way that humanity thought, and it's just the way that the whole continuum processed everything. It's getting there. I've seen such changes in my life. I've seen such changes, you know. At one point, I would have considered myself some kind of a pioneer in this. You know, I mean, I know it's not really true in a sense, but in my own viewing of the particulars of my life, coming from this horrific idea of life to salvation, it's like, oh, thank God. And I see all my friends are not interested. You know, they're not interested for anything. They don't care. They're all just like they're gone. They're not even, you know. Roger, let's do the next one.
I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm never upset for the reason I think because I'm constantly trying to justify my thoughts.
Stop.
I'm constantly.
Close your eyes for a second. I want you to take a deep breath. A deep breath. Let it in and out, in and out. You're not reading this to me. You're not reading this to a Zoom room. You're reading this to yourself. You have to hear this. Everything is just energy. Everything is a total resonant energy. Everything is a total vibration. Everything has a signature to it. When you hear this, Edith will hear it. When you hear this, Carrie will hear it. I want you to slow down a little bit, and I want this to become your manifesto. It's the most important thing you've ever read in your life. And I want you to read it as if you're disseminating it, and as if you're pulling it apart, and as if you're allowing it to permeate into the deepest reaches of your consciousness. Forget about the Zoom meeting. Forget about all of us. Okay?
From the beginning,
Yeah.
I am never upset for the reason I think because I'm constantly trying to justify my thoughts. I'm constantly trying to make them true. To make all things my enemies, so that my anger is justified, my attacks are warranted. I have not realized how much I've misused everything I see
Good.
by assigning this role to it.
Good.
I have done this to defend a thought system which has hurt me, which I no longer want. I am willing to let it go.
Did you feel it? When you read it that time, did you feel it? Did you connect with it deep?
Yeah, I'm feeling a vibration.
Good, good. The whole point of these lessons is to let them affect you. You're not reading a lesson. You're having a conversation with the Christ. You're having this kind of an interaction with a non-celestial, non-temporal entity that's giving you this handbook. If you can imagine that this dropped from a UFO or something, let's say, let's make it tangible, you know, like all of a sudden you're out in the Area 51 and this book falls out of the sky and you see this disc go, whoop, you'd be like, holy shit, this is the technology for those guys. You would be like in here like a, right? And you would absorb it. You would really want to know, because the tangibility of what this means to being able to go off into the sky and the celestial, the bodies, it makes it real to you, you know. And this is where faith, having little experiments with faith and doing that makes it real to you. That's the same thing, you know. Edith, read the same lesson. She's already upset that she's not upset for the reason she thinks.
Sorry. Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
Take a breath. Good. When you read that, Roger, Edith heard it. The second time, when you read it for her. All right? We're all connected. We're all one.
Enjoy it. It's the love for all of you.
That's right.
I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think, because I am constantly trying.
Good.
Trying to justify my thoughts. I am constantly trying to make them true. I make all things my enemies so that my anger is justified and my attacks are warranted. I have not realized how much I have misused everything I see by assigning this role to it. I have done this to defend a bad system that has hurt me. And that I no longer want. I am willing to let it go.
Good. Anna, do the next one, please.
I am upset because I see what is not there.
No, stop. That was terrible. Connect. When you read this properly, Edith's going to start crying again. She'll hear it. You ready? Edith's active, Colin's active, Tina's active. Arlene, I think she was born active. She's like the Richard Simmons of salvation. She's active. Breathe. Take a breath. Anna, I want you to open your eyes and look up at the ceiling. Tip your head right back. Take a breath. Yes. Right there. Good. Now read it. Good.
I am upset because I see what is not there.
Good. That's better. Thank you. Good. Yes. You see the difference? Your next carry.
Reality is never frightening.
Good.
It is impossible that it could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. When I'm upset, it is always because I have replaced reality with illusions I made up.
Mhm.
The illusions are upsetting because I have given them reality and thus regard reality as an illusion. Nothing in God's creation is affected in any way by this confusion of mine. I am always upset by nothing.
Good. Read the next one.
I see only the past. As I
Stop.
look about, I condemn the world I look upon.
Stop. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Feel it. Connect with it. Don't slip. Now read it.
I see only the past. As I look about,
Right there.
as I look about, I condemn the world I look upon. I call this seeing. I hold the past against everyone and everything, making them my enemies. When I have forgiven myself and remembered who I am, I will bless everyone and everything I see. There will be no past, and therefore no enemies. And I will look with love on all that I failed to see before.
Good. Carrie, I want you to stand up.
Stand up.
Yep. Stand up. You can leave the book there for a minute. All right. I want you to do this. Ruffle your hair a bit. Shake it out. All right. Hands. Do your hands. Now put your hands out in front of you like this. Close your eyes. And breathe in through the nose. Take a deep breath. Feel that breath. Slower. Slowly breathe. Slowly breathe. Connect. Connect with your breath. Connect with the energy. Connect with life through your fingertips, through your hands, through the top of your head. Blow the breath. That's it. Blow the breaths out. Good. Good. That's it. That's it. Have a few big huff and puffs. That's it. That's it. Totally do it. When you feel ready, read the lesson. When you feel good, you can sit down and read. Good. Look at that.
My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts.
Good. Take your time.
I see only my own thoughts, and my mind is preoccupied with the past. What then can I see as it is? Let me remember that I look on the past to prevent the present from dawning on my mind.
Good. Yes.
Let me understand that I am trying to use time against God. Let me learn to give the past away.
Stop. Stop. Go back. Take a breath. Connect with it from the get-go. Let me learn. Feel it.
Let me learn.
No, no, no. Read it to yourself. Let it be personal.
Let me learn to give the past away.
Good.
realizing that in doing so, I am giving up nothing.
Good. Do the next one.
I see nothing as it is now. If I see nothing as it is now, it can truly be said that I see nothing. I can see only what is now. The choice is whether to see the past or the present.
No. Read it again.
I can see only what is now. The choice is not whether to see the past or the present.
Right. Breathe.
The choice is not whether to see the past or the present. It is merely whether to see or not. What I have chosen to see has cost me vision. Ah. What I have chosen to see has cost me vision. Now I would choose again that I may see.
Good. Look at me. Hello.
Hello. Now I would choose again that I may see.
Yes. Tyna. Next one, please. Take a breath. Take a breath. Have you got a cramp in your back or something?
No.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Take a breath. Take it all the way in. Remember, you're not reading this to me. You're not reading it to others in a Zoom group. Keep it personal. You're reading it to yourself. This is Jesus.
My thoughts do not mean anything. I have no private thoughts. Yet it is only private thoughts of which I am aware. What can these thoughts mean? They do not exist, and so they mean nothing. Yet my mind is part of creation and part of its creator. Would I not rather join the thinking of the universe than to obscure all that is really mine with my pitiful and meaningless private thoughts?
Read that last sentence again.
Would I not rather join the thinking of the universe than to obscure all that is really mine with my pitiful and meaningless private thoughts?
Dana.
My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Since the thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything, the world that pictures them can have no meaning. What is producing this world is insane, and so is what it produces. Reality is not insane, and I have real thoughts as well as insane ones. I can therefore see a real world if I look to my real thoughts as my guide for seeing.
Read the next one.
I am upset because I see a meaningless world.
Good. Stop. Take a breath. You're not reading it to me. You're reading it to you. Let it make sense to you. Let it find its place in you where this belongs, what you're reading. Let it affect you. Let it tip all the apples out of the cart. Any one of these lessons, when you do any one of these lessons totally personally, it will totally knock you for six. This whole book comes from out of time. This is a celestial teaching. You're trying to hold it together here on a temporal level and integrate this into your thought system here. You can't do that. This is food for the Christ in you. When you truly let this in, the Christ in you is like a baby in a mother's womb. It begins to kick. It hears what you're saying. It begins to resonate, not with the words are meaningless, but with the frequency of what the words represent, which is the promise of God, of your awakening through the resurrection of Christ. It's the same when you read the Bible. It's the same when you're talking to someone in the street. But you got to let it in past the conceptual place where you think you understand what's being said. You got to feel it. This is a living message. This is living water. Let this in and you'll never thirst again. Drink of this truly. 2 in 10,000. I've got like 10, 2 in 10,000s on my page here right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. There's 10 of us. We're determined to drink from the well, and I'm not saying no. I'm not taking no for an answer. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if you guys want to slash your wrists or bloody kill me or whatever. We're doing it. In the darkest places, in the scariest places, we're doing it. We're going there together, and we're mighty companions, and we're not going to let each other down. We've done that before, and look what happens. Okay? I don't care how many incarnations it takes. I'm not letting go of Jesus' hand. Now read it like your life depends on it.
Insane thoughts are upsetting. They produce a world in which there is no order anywhere. Only chaos rules a world that represents chaotic thinking and chaos and has no laws. I cannot live in peace in such a world. I cannot live in peace in such a world. I am grateful that this world is not real and that I need not see it at all unless I choose to value it. And I do not choose to value what is totally insane and has no meaning.
Bullshit. I don't believe you.
I am. Oh. I do not choose to value what is totally insane and has no meaning.
You believe
Totally
her,
insane.
Edith? Do you believe her, really? I mean, are you feeling that? Are you going to run up on stage and give her an Oscar for that performance? I'm not.
All right.
I didn't feel that. I'm like Simon Cowell in America's Got Talent or whatever. I'm that guy.
All right. All right.
You didn't move me. You got to
Okay.
move Roger. Roger's the foundation upon which Jesus builds his church. If you can move Roger, you're doing well.
Okay. Insane thoughts
No. Stop. Stop.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Deep breath in through the nose and out. Feel that breath. Feel it. Its coolness or its warmth, whatever it is in your climate. It's cold here, but feel it. Connect with it. Connect with something. Connect with the idea of connecting. Now, I want you to look at Edith. Okay? Edith is your salvation. Edith is your salvation. You and your brother are one. Okay? Feel Edith. Feel how much love she has for you right now. And then read this. You can choose any brother, but like Jesus says, pick one brother as a symbol of all the rest. Okay? So I pick Edith for you. Good. Thank you. There you are. You don't have to read the lesson now. That is the lesson. That's the lesson. Guess whose turn it is, Arlene? Look at Roger, Arlene. Go on, you can do it. Look at Roger.
I don't know. Which lesson is it?
You can do 12. Look at Roger or Colin or Anna. Anna's a good one. Everybody brings a different thing to the table.
Oh
Right? You know why Jesus had 12 disciples? Right? Each of those guys represented a different vibration in the coming together of the 12 great rays. Okay? They were Jesus's atonement. Those disciples that he handpicked, 12. Right? It wasn't an accident that he picked 12. Each one has their own resonance.
I am upset because I see a meaningless world. Insane thoughts are upsetting. They produce a world in which there is no water anywhere. Only chaos rules a world that represents chaotic thinking. And chaos has no law. I cannot live. Oh, peace is such a world. I am grateful. I'm grateful that this world is not real.
Yeah. Yeah. Shut the door.
And that I need not see it see it at all unless I choose to value it. And I do not choose to value what is totally insane and has no meaning. I'm sorry. Oh. Oh, Father. Okay.
Good. Who was the
Yes.
tax collector?
Yes.
Simon? Matthew was the tax collector?
Matthew is a tax collector. Yes.
Arlene's like the reincarnation of Matthew. She's so relieved she doesn't have to collect the taxes.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank God for you.
Thank God. Oh God, what a relief.
All right, Tina's going to take you through the rest of these from 13 onwards. You can just do a round robin.
Oh man.
When you get to Carrie, Carrie has to stand up and shake before she does the lesson.
Yeah, she
Right,
does.
she's on stage. Yeah, she does. She has to stand on a seat. When you get to
Wonderful.
Colin,
This is so wonderful.
Colin's got to take 3 deep breaths, like really deep breaths, until he nearly blacks out.
Right on.
Everyone else is pretty good.
Thank you, Father. Oh.
All right.
All right.
Oh.
I love you guys.
Love
Love
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
brother.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.
Little man to the right. Arlene, do the next one.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Don't recover. Right where you are. Do the next one right now. Right now. Right now.
Okay.